Hold on 1 second. One second, 1 second. Okay.
Good
There we
evening,
go.
everyone, and welcome to the June 4th, 2026 virtual meeting of the Jersey City Zoning Board of Adjustment. This meeting is held in accordance with NJSA 10:4-12, the Open Public Meetings Act. I would now like to call this meeting to order. Mr. Pangilinan, would you please take roll call?
Certainly, Chair. We'll start with Commissioner Patel,
Present.
Commissioner D'Angelo. Commissioner D'Angelo, could you unmute?
Present. Present. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you. Commissioner Allen,
Okay. Here.
Vice Chair Arujo,
Here.
and Chair Coyle.
Present.
All right, we have five commissioners present. We have enough for a quorum.
Okay, Mr. Pangilinan, are there any sunshine announcements that you would like to share with us?
I do. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting has been provided to the city clerk.
Okay. Can we please stand for the flag salute? We don't have a flag but we could stand for the flag salute anyway. Okay. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance
to the flag
to
of
the
the United
United
States
States of America,
To
To the republic for which it
which
stands,
stands
one nation, under God,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty, justice for
justice for all.
justice for all. Thank you. Okay. Can we please swear the staff in, Bridget, who are in attendance?
Yes. Staff members, do you swear or affirm the testimony or comments you will give this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any correspondence or any adjournments that you would like to share with us at this time?
Nothing additionally. Everything has been included in the agenda. So yeah.
Okay. Okay, we have only two cases tonight. And if anything goes past 10 o'clock, we will not hear those cases. But since there's two, I doubt we'll go past 10 o'clock. If there are any public comments from the people that are listening to this meeting tonight, there will be time. They will be limited to 3 minutes in order to share their thoughts. And I'm going to ask Mr. Allen if he will, at that time those individuals who might get up to speak. Okay. All right. So our first case is going to be case Z2025-0057, 188 Newark Avenue.
Okay.
Our-
I'm trying to figure out which one of these users is the applicant for this, whether they're present or not.
Applicant, could you hit the raise hand button? Applicant's attorney.
Yeah, if you're the attorney, if you're attending on behalf of the applicant for 188 Newark Avenue, could you please raise your hand so I can unmute you? Also, Commissioner Shadid, if you're in there, and I haven't assigned you as a panelist, could you please raise your hand also? Hmm. So I repeat, if you are the applicant for 188 Newark Avenue, for sign variance, could you please raise your hand?
Mm.
Is anyone responding, Joe?
I have not received the response thus far. I have emailed the applicants team, just double check if anyone or from their team is in the room for the project. I have not heard back.
Go to the other one.
Are they in a separate room from the other case?
No, they should have all gotten the same. They should have gotten all the same room information.
Okay. If they don't respond in a few minutes, maybe we should move to.
Yeah, we can move on.
Yeah, I think so. Let me see. So last call, anyone from 188 Newark Avenue, if this is your application, please raise your hand and I will promote you to a panelist so you can speak on your application. Okay.
Moving on.
All right, going once, going twice. All right, sold. All right, we can move on to
Go to case Z2025-0023, 112 Harmon Street. So can we see if there's anyone there?
yeah, we have Ben Wine, who's the applicant.
Okay,
And he's raised his hand.
okay. Vincent, do we need to let him know there's 5 of us? Or,
Ben knows that, right? You know, there's only 5 commissioners here, Ben. So what's your pleasure?
I do. So first of all, I got to shake the rust off of these zoning board Zoom meetings because it's been a minute. But I think if it's okay with the board, this has just been, for better or worse, pending for such a long time. I'd love the opportunity to at least get started and try to clear some of the time off. And if we feel confident going to a vote with 5 people, we'll do that. If we don't, then we would just like to reserve the right to adjourn to a future meeting, if that's okay with the board.
Okay.
We've done that before. What do you think,
Yeah, it's okay.
Chairperson? Is that okay?
yeah,
Kathy? Yeah, good.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you. So I'll just ask for a couple of minutes at the end of the case. But with that, first of all, good evening, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Commissioners. Always good to see everybody. And like I said, kind of funny to be back in this forum. But I want to introduce the project that I have for you this evening and give you a little bit of history and background because I think it's very relevant and helpful, and ultimately proceed with my witnesses to present the case. So the application in question is for the property located at 12-14 as well as 16 Harmon Street. Those are 2 separate addresses, and that's block 17206, lots 13 and 14. And the applicant is M&T Partners LLC, and we are in the R1 zone. The application before you this evening, we are seeking preliminary and final major site plan approval along with variance relief in order to demolish the existing site improvements and construct a new 3 to 4 story multifamily building consisting of 13 dwelling units, including 1 affordable unit and a payment in lieu for 0.3. We do have several variances this evening, which cite us before this board as opposed to the planning board. The variances that we have are for density, where 5 units are permitted, and we are proposing 13. We have a height variance of 35 feet is permitted, and 43.5 feet is proposed for approximately 2/3 of the building. As you'll see when we go through this, we have a 3-story portion that's conforming and a 4-story portion that requires that variance. We also have a couple of C variances for you, including a rear yard setback variance where 19.9 feet are required and 17.5 feet are proposed. So we're about 2.4 feet short of that requirement. And finally, we are not proposing any parking here where 5 spaces are required. So we have I have two witnesses I intend to call this evening for you. I do have a third witness, our civil engineer, kind of waiting in the wings in case there's any engineering questions. But as I said before, I do want to give a little bit of background to this application. So this is something of a unique site. We are in the R1 zone, but as you may be familiar with the site, we are immediately adjacent to that large 5-story development that fronts on 3 streets and I believe has an address on Communipaw Avenue. Right across Garfield Avenue is the Journal Square redevelopment area, and on the other side of Randolph, which is our cross street, is the NC1 zone where 5-story development is actually the standards. And those zones permit larger development. We're kind of stuck in this pocket, and again, adjacent to a couple of variance applications that have been approved, allowing for much larger development than what we're seeking. We did meet, it's hard to believe, it's over 2 years ago, actually. We met with the Sherwood Claremont Neighborhood Association in May of 24 to discuss our initial proposal, which did initially include a full 5-story building with 16 units. The project was actually generally well received given our surroundings, but after we met with city planning and specifically Mr. De Silva, the request was that we at least tier the western portion of the building to serve more as a transition piece, like I said, between that 5-story building on the right and the 3-story zone on our left. So what we did then was turn this into a 5-story building with a 4-story drop down. That resulted, like I said, in a 5 to 4 orientation. We actually then appeared at the March zoning board meeting, fully intent on presenting before you, whereupon we met 3 members of the public, 2 of whom are direct neighbors, who told us that they were never approached by the community group that we had met with. We were obviously concerned with that, and they mentioned that they had some concerns with that iteration of the project, including the massing. And so we elected and requested to adjourn from the March meeting in order to meet with them to discuss. And I just want to indicate for the record that candidly, that was not really ideal for my client. At that point, it had been almost 2 years from that initial outreach. But nevertheless, he did feel that it would be important and appropriate not just to meet with the neighborhood association, but the actual individual neighbors that made a point of showing up and staking their claim in the project. So we met with Miss Laverne Washington, Miss Michelle Mayer, and Miss Mary Webb later on in March. And I would say it was a very productive meeting, and we listened to their concerns predominantly from Miss Webb, as again, her property immediately abuts our property. And I think you'll hear from her this evening, hopefully positively. She was understanding of what we were trying to do at the time and was a little bit annoyed more at the community group that they never thought to include her in that initial meeting that we held. And so what we did after that application, and I apologize for taking the board's time, but it sounds like I have the whole night, so I might as well. What we did is we were able to reduce, so instead of being a 5-story down to 4-story step down, we are now a 4-story down to 3-story step down. So approximately a third of the building conforms with the height, but we do have that portion that is a height variance, and I'll get to why momentarily. We did also reduce the density down to 13 units, and while we are technically now underneath the trigger for required affordable housing units, we're under 15, my client nevertheless committed, as he did since day one, to providing that 10% affordable. So 13 units, that's going to be one on-site 3-bedroom unit. In fact, the only 3-bedroom unit in our proposal will be affordable. And then we are going to make an additional payment to the Division of Affordable Housing in the amount of, I believe it's $54,000 towards them being able to construct additional affordable housing throughout the city. We also reduced the rear yard variance. We previously had a 0-foot rear yard condition, and we reduced that now down to only a 2.25-foot variance. So we are very, very close to the 19.9 required. We also eliminated a coverage variance and actually went way below what's permitted. So 85% is permitted. We're now down to 67% coverage, which you'll see momentarily how we accomplished that. We've also been able to add 2 street trees to the frontage. We have reduced the existing coverage from what exists today. And then here's the kicker, and I think this was the biggest change to the program that really required a full redesign. We created a wide open landscaped side yard that is not required. We're permitted a 0-foot side yard setback towards Miss Webb's property. But what we really focused on coming out of that meeting was how can we do so much better to her? So what we did is we actually created a 10.5-foot side yard. It's practically unheard of in Jersey City. Almost nobody gives that amount of side yard at all. Most zones require anywhere from 0 to 3 feet, and we're proposing 10.5. So now, hopefully, as you see our design and how we got there, now it should make sense to you as to why we are seeking that partial fourth story. What we effectively did, in deference to Miss Webb, is take 3 stories that would have sat right on her property line, took it out completely, and put it on the top of the right side of the building where we abut that 5-story building. And that was a way to, to split hairs a little bit, but to ensure that we were able to construct the overall floor area that we would otherwise be permitted, while giving great deference to Miss Webb and, her very valid and reasonable concerns that she shared with us. So what you'll see here tonight is effectively a better version of an otherwise conforming development. In essence, like I said, we took 10.5 feet of what would be 3-story buildable space, and we moved it to the top on the other side of the building where it impacts nobody, adjacent to that 5-story building. And in so doing, we hope you'll agree that this development would be much better than the as-of-right alternative that could appear before the planning board, but candidly would impact Miss Webb and her other neighbors in a much more impactful way. So that's our opening towards our presentation. And I know it was long-winded, but again, I appreciate the board's time in bearing with me. And with that, I would respectfully request, unless the board has questions of me, I can turn it over to our project architect.
We'll hold our questions till the end.
Sure. So with that, I'll bring up Russell Bodnar, and I see him there. Russ, Vinny is going to...
Hold on. Russ,
Yes.
Father, could you raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And state and spell your full name for the record and keep your voice.
Yeah, hi, my name is Russell Bodnar. Last name is Bodnar. I reside at 52 Long Hill Road in Long Valley, New Jersey. And I'm a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey, and my licensing is current. And I have appeared before this board before.
Yes, we recognize Mr. Bodnar's expertise. He's been before us many times.
Okay. Thank you very much, counsel. So Russ, if you can please walk the board through your presentation, talk to them about the existing site conditions and what we're proposing here this evening.
Right. I can pick up the plans. I just need to share them.
You might need permission from
Yeah, I
Joseph.
need permission somehow. So, share. Here you go. Sharing is turned off, so somebody's got to give me share.
Matt, is that you or Joseph?
It's Joe.
Still turned off. Try again.
Joe, are you there?
Well, Tanya, I think is co-hosting now too.
Is she?
Tanya?
Try now.
Okay.
Yeah, here it goes, I think. Share.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Perfect.
Okay, here you go. I'll just pull it up here. Can you guys see everything?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Okay. As you can see here, this is our site here. It's located on the. Sorry, guys. I got this thing on the side here that's won't let me go up and down on stuff. It's located at basically Harmon and Garfield. It's one up from Garfield, and then our other cross street is Randolph. So it's like Ben said earlier, we went from a 16-unit building down to a 13-unit building, and our 13 units consist of 10 one-bedrooms, 2 two-bedrooms, and a 1 3-bedroom. So if we go down, as we go down further, let's just take a quick look at the plans. We were talking earlier, Ben spoke to you about the neighboring property that we were concerned with is on the left-hand side, and their properties on Randolph. And we decided to give this space adjacent to their property, which is like 10 feet 4 inches along this entire side, is now we set the building in. And we also have our 17-foot-6 rear yard setback. Our setback was originally 0 at the first floor and 12 foot at the second floor. So Now we're 17'6", and you can see here are 3 bedrooms located in the front. That's our affordable unit. The affordable unit actually has a little grassed-in yard space on it, and the 1 bedrooms in the back also have yard space. On the right-hand side, we moved the lobby all the way to the right-hand side, away from the neighbor, up against the adjacent 5-story building. And in our lobby, we just have our bike storage and some mailboxes in a package room. Downstairs, we also have our some of our mechanical areas, sprinkler, electric, trash room, and some storage lockers for the building. We do have 7 bike parking spaces, so we're a little over on our bike parking spaces. So we're right there by 1. Well, basically you need 7. But if we go upstairs to our second floor plan, we're all 1 bedrooms upstairs. We have 612 1 bedroom, 699 1 bedroom, and a 630 bedroom, and a 644 square foot 1 bedroom. So that's our second floor plan. If we go up to our third floor plan, again, we also have the same exact footprint, same exact 4 1 bedrooms. But as you can see here, we go to our fourth floor plan. We then brought the building even in further. So we're basically 21 feet 3 inches now from the property setback on our fourth floor. And we took basically we took our structure we would have put on the lower level and brought it up to the fourth floor level to make apartments on the fourth floor level. So instead of having a 3-story building as of right up against the property line, we adjusted everything so we can then make this 4-story building. By doing so, though, I needed this extra staircase because with a 3-story building, I'm allowed 1 stair. With a 4-story building, I'm required by code to have a second stair. So on this level, we have two bedrooms, and we have a 10 square foot, basically 2-bedroom study in the rear. And we have a 2-bedroom study in the front at 998 square feet. So as you can see here, we have, like we said earlier, we have the 10 1 bedrooms, we have the two 2 bedrooms, and we have the 1 3 bedroom, which is our affordable. If we go up to the roof deck level, we have a roof deck that's 750 square feet, as you can see here, and we are set back from the front yard, basically from Harmon Street, 13 feet 5 inches. We were also set back an additional probably about 7 feet, which I should have put this number on here, from the neighboring property to the left. So that's now gives us basically 28 feet almost from their property on that roof terrace down to their property. So we feel like, we're not really, like, if there's anybody on that roof area, like a community thing going on, it's an ample distance away, basically almost 28 feet from their property as is, almost a whole rear yard and a standard 100 on a standard R1 at 30 feet. So we're trying to accommodate that as well. And as you can see, even here from the rear, we're 17 feet, another almost 10 feet to that's 27 feet to the from the back property line to the rear deck as well. So if we go down a little further, this is our elevations, our street elevation. As you can see here, we have that 3-story space here on the left-hand side, and then we bump up to a 4-story space. The only thing that's still raised a little bit that's set back is the stair tower, because I required to have that extra stair tower. If we go down a little bit further, you can see how we're kind of doing our massing. So at the other end of the block, past Randolph Avenue towards Grand Street on Harmon, that's an NC zone.
No. So at the other end of the block, past what?
Past Randolph, between Randolph and Grand Street is called NC1. NC1's allowed to be five stories the entire block. So right now there's an approved 5 stories at the end of the block on Grand Street, and I know of another project that's going to be going in here that's going to come in as of right as well, and there will still be only the vacant lot that's on Randolph left out of the entire bulk on the left-hand side. This has nothing really to do with our project. We're just saying that this is a 5-story building on the left. The existing building on the right of us is a 5-story building that was built probably about 3 years ago. And we are now stepping down to our 4th-story building right next to it, and then a 3-story building right adjacent to that. And as you can see here with the grading coming down, basically the top of their 2-story plus building is basically the height of our 3-story building. So it's pretty much comparable to what they're having. And you can see here now we left ample room. The only thing we have here is a staircase that brings us down from, the stair coming down, because I need a means of egress out, to that staircase that walks along the side of the property. As we come here again, you can see the rear of our elevation has just, basically there's a vinyl fence all the way around the property at the rear. As you can see, this is just a rear elevation showing just some windows and some doors going out to the backyard. Again, as we go further down here, this is the side the neighbor would be looking at, the left-hand side, the west side. As you can see, the west side, we did put some windows in along that side. There's not a ton of windows in, but we did have nice siding and windows in there, and that little terrace on the upper level with some cement board paneling and some other decorative items. So this way, the side of the building has like a little bit more of an appeal, like not just a flat wall. Like you can see the other one that's right up against the property line. If we build an as-of-right building right against the property line, I can't put windows on that side. So you're just going to be stuck with, let's say on the well, this should say right-hand side. Sorry, I had to put stuff quickly, so I forgot to fix that. But the right-hand side that abuts against the other neighbor, that's a 5-story building, is just a blank wall. There's nothing on it. There's a little bit of siding on it where they have a jut in, but the rest of it's actually a hatch section that's just literally pressed up against the adjacent building.
Hold it. One second, please.
I'm talking too fast for you, I think.
No, Russ, stop. Bridget had to step away.
Oh.
I have to shut my in-the-wall air conditioning off. It's too loud.
Oh, okay.
In an old apartment here. And yes, you are too fast, both of you. So slow down.
Sorry, Bridget.
Thank you. You're always sorry. Okay.
You know me. If we go back, I have a rendering here that wasn't part of the package, but this kind of gives us a kind of a bulk feel of the project. Disregard this with the renderer kind of just threw something in here as a placeholder, but it's not really what's going on.
Mr. Bodnar. And Russ, what we should do is we should have this marked into evidence. I believe A1 is typically the notice package, which is online. So I think this would be A2. Am I correct, Mr. De Silva?
I believe, yeah, this would be A2. And if each file is separate, each one should be marked in separately. And Mr. Wine, if you could please, as soon as reasonably possible, please upload those photos to the portal for the record as well.
Certainly.
Yes, we can.
Describe A2 for the record then, because it's
all right. So Harmon, the file known as Harmon render _1 is A2 for the record.
Is A2, correct. And as you can see here, you can see basically our building and how we have the step down, how we have a little bit of a cornice area, how we have like the siding on the side of the building, as well as how you can see like on the side. I was trying to show a little bit of the side and the front, where you can see some windows and everything that's against the property. See this like line here? This is basically our line of our property line against the, basically against the, where that would be. And then they have their property against them. So we're giving a nice ample space between us and the adjacent neighbors that we're very concerned about.
And Russ, just to confirm, I'm sorry, but the white buildings that you see surrounding, those are just placeholders. Those are not accurate to scale.
No, that's not accurate. I think the renderer I told the renderer I needed something, but she didn't understand. I just wanted the rendering by itself, but she literally sent it to me 5 minutes before this meeting. So I was like, okay. So yeah, this is a different render, a little bit of upload at the last minute. As you can see here, that's one, and then we have another one we could count as if you were like a kind of a face-on view of the building, which we could consider as A3 then, and this is Harmon Render 2, which shows us the face-on version, and it kind of shows you where an adjacent our building is to theirs. It's not actually to perfect scale of what that would be because their building ends around here. So but it shows like what we're kind of what we're trying to do here and how we're trying to make this this appearance be from going from 4 down to 3 and then leaving that open space and
And
showing.
so, Russ, even though, sorry to cut you off, but even though, you know, the surrounding white buildings are not to scale, I just want to confirm so that the board and the public understands the rendering that you're showing is to scale of what our proposal would look like.
Correct. Or the rendering itself is to scale. The building next to us would be much larger. It's actually, if we went, let's say we went back to that original set of plans, you could see on my sheet ZN5 how our building is located within the context of the street. As you can see, the 2-family next to us on Randolph, how they're basically 2.5 stories, but since with the grading, they're almost about 3 stories tall, and how we go from 3 stories to the 4 stories. And basically, we're trying to, you know, go in a way. We went away from the original 5-story building that had parking, which is kind of one of our variances we're going to need now because our lot's more than 50 feet wide. But we went away from the parking to get, you know, because they didn't want a very tall building, to get the 4-story building in with the drop down to make it 3.
Okay. And Russ, just talking about some of the site conditions, I want to confirm for the record again, as I indicated in my opening, we are well under on the coverage. I think the board now sees why we were able to do that with that large side yard setback. Yeah. But I just want to confirm we are nevertheless proposing stormwater management on this site. Is that correct?
Correct. We are proposing the stormwater management.
Okay, so that will make it, again, even though it is well under coverage, it would make it a better condition than would otherwise exist. Is that right?
Correct.
And then in terms of the streetscape, if you can just go to the site plan sheet, I just want to confirm the street trees, the sidewalk repair, things of that nature. If you can just talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, we'll go back down.
Can I interrupt 1 second? I just wanted to let you guys know that Commissioner Shadid is on. I just promoted him.
Okay. All right, as you can see here, this is our proposed site plan. You do have the 2 trees now we're adding to the site. We also do have some landscaping around the corner. So if we go to like a landscaping plan a little bit further down, you can see we have some landscaping in the rear of the property as well, landscaping in the front of the property, and some landscaping on the side here as well. So we added a lot more landscaping than we originally had on the original design feature, as well as, you know, having our two street trees that we're required to have, since we are a 50-foot lot. We do have the two street trees as well.
And Russ, staying on the landscape plan, so all that area on the side, that's just right now it's just proposed as green grass. Is that right?
Yes, we have a little sidewalk that goes back to the staircase, but the rest of this is all green grass, and this is also all green grass all the way around. And we just have a little walk out to our yard in the rear. And then the rest of this is landscaping along the rear, and some landscaping items up here in the front as well as in the front of the building, because our 3 bedrooms right there, and the bedrooms were on the front of the building, and we're pretty low to the ground there. I wanted to make sure we had some landscaping and to kind of break up when you're walking down the street, that you're not just right up against the sidewalk to the bedrooms.
Okay, and Russ, one other thing I didn't even have a chance to ask you ahead of time, so I'm doing what no lawyer should do and asking his witness a question that he doesn't know the answer to, but I'm pretty sure I know the answer. I did speak with Miss Webb earlier today, the neighbor. Actually, this is a good shot because she is tax lot 3, so that's to the left. And I did offer, and I spoke to our client, and he's perfectly fine with it. I just want to make sure it's okay with you from a site plan perspective. If she does decide she wants to run that evergreen landscaping you see her on the back row along the side as well, and I don't believe she's made a decision yet, but if so, that's something we could do. Is that right?
Yes, we have plenty of room there to run a whole set of landscaping along that edge.
Okay, so either it would be some combination, it will be some combination of grass, lawn, shrubbery, and trees to be worked upon with the neighbors. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, we can easily do that. That we can accommodate anything they need in terms of landscaping. There's a fence there right now that we're proposing, but we can add the landscaping in as well.
Okay, perfect. All right, Madam Chair, I think that's all I have for Mr. Bodnar at this time.
Okay, do you have any other witnesses that you're going to bring forth, or is that?
I do, unless you had questions of Mr. Bodnar first.
We'll save our questions till the end.
Sure. So with that, like I said, I do have a site civil engineer. I don't intend to call him up. There's not much by way of engineering beyond the stormwater that Russ testified to, but he is here in case the board has questions afterwards. So with that, I would call up our professional planner, Charles Height.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, Charles. Would you raise your right hand to be sworn?
Yes,
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, and Charles, just for the record, you could go through your whole qualification list, but suffice to say, your license is in good standing here this evening.
Good standing, and I have the distinct pleasure of working on a variety of land use applications throughout the city of Jersey City for the better part of the past 10 years.
Yeah, we've seen Mr. Height many times and we accept his expertise. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Charles, you heard the testimony that Mr. Bodnar presented regarding the overall existing conditions and proposed development. You obviously heard as well as to the variances. I would just ask if you can please walk the board through your presentation with respect to addressing the D&C variances that we have.
Yeah, and I'd be happy to. Good evening, board members. It's nice to see you all virtually. I know through the summer there's the change in venue here. We had the opportunity to engage with this application team and truly try and envision a project that balanced what the development and the property could generate in terms or accommodate, and then how these properties sit within one another on the subject block, and just understand the overall neighborhood. So there's a few different layers of information I think the board should probably benefit, and I'll touch on these through my testimony. But the zoning ordinance and master plan have been updated, and we're trying to reconcile what we believe is an overall better planning alternative, better architectural alternative, with what the intent of various components of the master plan and zoning ordinance are. And from a policy standpoint, I think it's important to know that many of these applications that come before this board usually are dealing with the inclusionary zoning ordinance, which its intent is to incorporate affordable housing through types of added or variance applications. A sister ordinance that was later adopted by the city is referred to as the Affordable Housing Overlay Ordinance. And both are designed to incentivize or require affordable housing within a development. The distinction is the Affordable Housing Overlay is essentially an ordinance that waives any density requirement and allows you to increase the number of units within the zoning envelope, but you provide for that affordable housing. So if Mr. Wine didn't mention before, and he can provide the details, but we are adhering to affordable housing within this project. We are generating, where the requirement is 1.3, we're generating one inclusionary unit with a buy-in for the 0.3. So we're meeting that intent of the affordable housing. I think it's important that the reason why we're before this board and not the planning board under the AHO is because what we refer to in planning is we have a transition of floor area, transition of building mass. And we think then this transition or relocation is a better planning alternative, giving the very specific and on-site conditions and adjacent property conditions. So just hopefully the board can have that in the back of their mind. They're both two sister affordable housing ordinances, and we're incorporating affordable housing in this project. I do have two exhibits. Mr. Ryan, I don't know if these were submitted or if I should mark them.
We should have them marked.
Okay, I can see if I can share my screen. And
I apologize. I'm not squinting at everyone, but the sun is hitting right now, so Don't take it personally.
All right. So this is the first exhibit. It's a sheet of 4 pages. What should I mark it?
I think we're up to A4 is what I have noted. So this will be A4, and we can call it a 4-sheet. What do you want to call it, Charles?
This is just a zoning exhibit. That's what we titled it.
Okay, a zoning exhibit.
And then our second exhibit is the zoning visual impact comparison. So I'll mark that. Board can probably recognize
I'm
this
sorry, is
intersection.
that A5?
You're up to A4, or Ben, should this be A4 or A5?
That should be A4. I think you just confused Bridget. You haven't presented A5 yet. You just alluded to the fact you will present A5.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. So this is A4. The board should probably be familiar with this intersection. This is eloquently referred to as the junction. It's identified in the master plan in a small area vision, where we look closely at some of the dynamics of this neighborhood, where just to the west of Morris Canal, a little across Garfield Avenue, a little further south is Berry Lane Park. Off this screen to the west is Arlington Park. And essentially it's referred to as the junction because of 3 main intersections, the intersection of 3 main roads. We have Communipal running east-west, Grand running east-west, and then Garfield Avenue running north-south. So the subject property highlighted in red here is located just a block off of that intersection or confluence of those 3 major roadways. And ultimately, it's a unique area in the city. One thing, as I zoom in here, you can see the rooftop of the 5-story apartment building that we were referencing earlier, and the other rooftops. This property is the only interior lot on the block. And what that means, it's the only lot that has frontage on Harmon and 2 side yards. The adjacent properties along Randolph, one is a corner lot and the other have frontage on Randolph. And what that means is, while it's our side yard to our west, it's the adjacent property's rear yard. So we're meeting a side yard with a rear yard, which it's just a unique scenario. It does happen in the city. Obviously, this block isn't your standard 200 by 400 foot block of parcels, but it's a unique condition that I think is probably the start of the conversation from a planning standpoint about how best to deal with a scenario like this. So I should mention to the board that the property is 4,689 square feet. We have approximately 59 feet of frontage on Harmon, and ultimately the site has 2 structures on it. One was underwent a small fire and is no longer habitable, but that's a 1-story structure, and then there's an adjacent 2-story structure. So we do have photos if the board wants to review them. From a zoning standpoint, as we mentioned, there's a mix of zoning within this neighborhood. You do have the R1 zone, or the north end of the R1 zone. We have the NC district just across Randolph on Harmon Street. And there's obviously the Morris Canal redevelopment plan, where there's more intense multifamily development along Garfield Avenue. And you can see the Berry Lane reference the street, but just south of that is Berry Lane Park. One of the other aspects, and this is a slightly larger view of the overall neighborhood, I think was important when we wanted to present the existing conditions, is the sense of a diverse neighborhood. This is a very robust neighborhood, in my opinion. While it is referred to as the junction, it's one of the locations in the city that actually has a great deal of access to public open space. You're 1-2 blocks north of Berry Lane Park, which is a tremendous asset in the overall community. You have Lafayette Park, which is a small walking path area, and then Arlington Park, which is just west of the subject property. Open space is always a key characteristic of a healthy, diverse community. It's where you want to localize added residential units in a neighborhood like this, and in this neighborhood it has it. In addition, what we did on this aerial is highlight the transit in the neighborhood. So when we speak of transit, it's really all alternate modes of transportation, including bus, light rail, and bicycle paths. Just to cover that, we have a number of planned and shared use bike paths shown in green. This is a bike path along Grant Street that is protected and then becomes shared. There are other shared routes through this neighborhood on some of the side streets. And one bike path to call out in particular is the Morris Canal Greenway. The Morris Canal Greenway is a large network of bicycle paths that range from the Hudson River coastline in Jersey City all the way west through Essex and further points west in the state. The Jersey City and the state have recognized this route as a return from what you could be considered rails to trails, where it was a former canal and is now being repurposed for that linear bike network. So it is another larger regional bike network. It comes north through Berry Lane Park, and then actually in this neighborhood of Lafayette Park, it starts to turn east and then will continue east towards the downtown area of the city. So this is a planned improvement to the overall transportation alternatives in the area. And again, it just speaks to the richness and diversity of the neighborhood from another key planning component. Lastly, I should add, along Communipaw and Grand Avenue are a number of commercial neighborhood businesses. So that's always a component to, in my opinion, a mix of commercial uses. It helps foster a very vibrant, walkable, destination-oriented type of neighborhood. And along those two frontages, you have eateries, small neighborhood services, and other retail options. In orange are the bus routes. So I think that really identifies that this area is the confluence of three major roadways. Bus routes are obviously located on collector streets, and along Garfield Avenue, you have multiple bus stops within a 1-minute walk, same as Communipaw, and the same with Garfield Avenue. And these bus routes are three different bus routes that take you to different points throughout the city and beyond, into Hoboken, Newark, and then further south into Bayonne. As we look at some of the existing conditions of the property, I did want to share some of the photos. So this is the newer structure at the corner of Harmon and Communipaw, the 5-story building. In the middle here is the existing 1- and 2-story structures. I think it's important to note that this photo shows a very good example of what is the rear facades of the westerly neighbor from the subject property, and it's approximately a 14-foot setback in terms of a rear yard. So these lots are quote unquote undersized as it relates to zoning. There's a walkout. There's more or less just patio space in the back of these properties, but essentially the existing conditions of this single story structure is on a lot line, which would allow for a lot line condition to exist moving up. And that's part of the analysis we did that I'll get into in a minute. Some of the other photos of the surrounding properties, you can see from the corner, the 5-story structure in the rear at 475 Communipaw, You can see the grade change over the frontage of Harmon, and you can see the two-story structures along Randolph. And our goal here with the project, as was mentioned before, is to try and continue this transition that steps down to the two-story homes on Randolph through a very appropriate design on this subject property. With respect to density, we are 4,600 square feet. The R1, sorry, I'm trying to stop share screen. Give me a moment. The R1 district does permit residential uses. So we're not requesting a D1 use variance, but it does limit the density of residential units to 42 units per acre. What's being requested with this application is 13 units. So it's in excess of the permitted 42 units per acre. The adjacent property at 475 Communipaw Avenue is approximately 160 units per acre. That project was approved, and it's not necessarily the same type of development. That project was an automobile car wash, so we were transitioning a non-permitted use into a permitted use. But we clearly have a less dense development than that subject property at the corner. There are other developments in the area that were referenced earlier. 747 Grand is a 36-unit multifamily that's just the block to the west, as well as 509 Communipaw, which is equally 36 units. So in this setting, not to compare the unit count, we're only 13 units, but to compare the reality that there are multifamily developments within this immediate neighborhood within a 1 to 2 block proximity. I want to just reference the affordable housing component. So we do have one of the 13 units, which is a 3-bedroom unit, as an affordable unit. We did coordinate with the city to ensure that it meets all the affordable requirements. If this project stayed within the zoning envelope, it would not require the D5 density variance, and that's part of the city's new affordable housing overlay. So I think it's important to note the two main things with respect to density are that we are consistent, actually less dense than some of the other multifamily in the area, and we are meeting the intent by incorporating affordable housing in what we believe is a better zoning envelope for the site. The next exhibit that I think is helpful is what we prepared this past week to try and help show the board this transition of floor area. And so I'll mark this as A5.
Yes, and Charles, can we just call it the visual impact comparison?
Yes.
Okay.
And we submitted these, but I'll submit the marked copy as well after the evening. And what we did was in a very technical manner to scale with the existing surrounding developments. We took the overall elevation of the facade as designed by Mr. Bodnar, the 3-story section in front and the 4-story section to the east. And we modeled that in a 3D environment. And this shows the massing. You can kind of see some of the texture of the facade treatment on the proposed structure. And it shows the massing as it relates to the adjacent 5-story structure and the adjacent 2- and 3-story structures on Randolph and Communipaw. But more importantly, I think just starting from where we all started from is the existing conditions, you can see the 1-story and 2-story structures here that actually sit on the property line and have the greatest impact to the Randolph properties. 3 stories is permitted in the R1. And what we did was try to understand what a permitted zoning envelope would look like. So this does have a rear yard of 19 feet, does have 2 0 lot line, 0 side yard setbacks. And ultimately, this floor area is what would be permitted by way of, or this overall massing by way of R1 because of the size of the property, the existing and adjacent 0 lot line conditions. So part of the process here is to understand that this 3-story structure along our side yard is actually marrying against a rear yard for our adjacent neighbors or the adjacent properties to the west. Is there a way that we can make that setback better without losing or sacrificing some of the entitled zoning that would be able to generate on the site? And what we did was ultimately say, can we set back our side yard where 0 feet's permitted today, approximately 10.5 feet, 10.4 feet to be exact. And then can we transition some of that zoning envelope, the floor area, to a 4th-story on the east side of the property, further away from the rear yards of the adjacent properties to the west. And this exhibit kind of walks you through that process from a massing standpoint. Again, you can see the roof lines of the 5-story building, stepping down to the 4th-story, then stepping down to the permitted 3-story height, and then providing that greater 10-foot separation between the building and the lot line, which in my opinion is an improvement beyond existing conditions and is an improvement over what's permitted by way of a zoning envelope. So hopefully that was helpful for the board. You can see here from a elevation standpoint, taking a minute to load, the 5 stories going to 4 and going to 3.
And Charles, just before you move off this exhibit, I think it's good. Just a quick question. In that, and you see them both there very well, in that 3-story as of right configuration that would be before the planning board, and this is what you were alluding to before regarding the affordable housing overlay. So that would be the 13 units in that arrangement would be permitted. The only reason they're not permitted here is because we're seeking that height variance, which is effectively being sought in order to take that bulk and put it towards, further away from the residents. Is that fair to say?
That's exactly correct. That's the intent of the affordable housing overlay, is to allow for more density and not require a D6 density variance if you are within your zoning envelope. The minute you do have any sort of added stories, that's where you come to the zoning board of adjustment. But 13 units without a density variance in this scenario would be permitted.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, you can keep going.
Okay, and this gets a good segue to the relief we are seeking. Again, we're seeking relief for a partial 4-story on the east side of the property. The overall building height to the roof line is 43.5 feet, where 35 feet for 3 stories is permitted in the R1. And ultimately, that building height only occurs at approximately 20 feet from the side lot line, and it's a partial 4-story. So I did present the information on the intent of relocating the permitted zoning floor area to the 4-story earlier. I do believe that this is a better design alternative. And in terms of consistency with the development in the surrounding area, there are 5-story structures. Immediately adjacent to the east is a 5-story structure. We are tearing down from that structure to create a very nice and clear transition to what is west of this subject property, which is 2-story buildings. But ultimately, those are part of the elements that I believe, meet the justifications for the density variant, the building height variance being sought as well. So hand in hand with the overall building height in feet, we are requesting the partial 4-story variance where 3 stories are permitted. And for the same reasons, creating that transition and relocating the floor area. There are 2 other variances that I did want to touch on briefly. One is respect to the rear yard setback. Part of the evolution of this project did at one point try and accommodate a full level of parking on the ground floor, where we thought the benefit of providing the parking would outweigh the detriment of having a full enclosed parking level. So that did have a 0 rear yard setback. In the process of understanding some of the concerns about air and light within the interior of the subject property, we removed that full parking level. We reduced the overall number of stories from 5 to the partial 4. And ultimately, we provided a very healthy rear yard. The rear yard that's being proposed is 17.5 feet, so 17 and a half feet. However, based on the calculations for rear yard in the R1, approximately 19 feet is required. I can tell you that this subject property provides the longest and greatest amount of rear yard in terms of an overall aerial view. The condominium building to the north along Communipaw has their driveway that occupies their rear yard. The apartment structure to the east at 475 Communipaw has a full building coverage and has their amenity level or outdoor space on the roof. And for this subject property, we do have the traditional rear yard of 17 feet that spans the width of the interior of the lot. And we are also providing a little bit of amenity space on the roof as well. So while we are encroaching in the rear yard 2 feet, I think the overall design allows the floor layouts from an architectural standpoint to still work, and we still are providing that separation and increased light and air to the adjacent properties. The last variance, and again, a bulk variance, is with respect to parking. This is somewhat of a calculation based on bedrooms. So that's been a transition for the city to revise the parking requirements. Ultimately, the parking requirements have been reduced in the city from a policy standpoint. If this was an AHO, an Affordable Housing Overlay application, parking is not required. So given that we are electing to make it a zoning board application and transition that mass on the west side of the property to a 4th story, we are required to request relief for parking. As I mentioned earlier, we did envision a scenario where we comply with parking, albeit at a 5-story structure. This proposed application removes that parking level and ultimately will lean on all the infrastructure and the transit that's available within this neighborhood. So I'll reference before the bus routes that run along Grand Street, Communipaw, and Garfield. The bicycle infrastructure in the area is under some bike routes are installed already, and the Morris Canal Greenway is undergoing implementation for segments throughout the city today. So in the long vision of this neighborhood, there will be a lot of transit-rich and bike-rich alternatives. So we believe that fits within the vision of this project and will advance the reduction of automobile dependency for the future tenants. I do believe that the application meets special reasons. This board's heard me testify to similar applications. I believe that we're transitioning an underutilized property in the city with a 1 and 2 story structure into what is a very, very tailored multifamily residential development that's appropriate for the site. I believe that we've worked with the Division of City Planning. We've met on numerous occasions and in numerous instances throughout the life of the application to try and envision what we think is a balanced application. And ultimately, this board will make a decision that will guide the development. So again, this is meeting purpose A through that process. I also believe that we're meeting purpose E to establish appropriate population densities. I spoke about the mix of uses along the main streets in the area, the availability of robust open space in the neighborhood, and access to mass transit and bicycle routes throughout this neighborhood. I think this is a great location to harness the size of the property, the transition between a 5-story multifamily structure and two-story residential units on this property. And I think it's meeting purpose E for an appropriate population. Lastly, I can't overstate this enough. The transition factor and being able to envision a development through Mr. Bardner's design is a desirable visual technique. And it's creative, it's tailored to this setting, and I believe that it first fosters desirable visual environments over the existing conditions. For those reasons, I think it's clear that we do have special reasons that would apply to this application in the positive criteria. A couple things I just wanted to touch on in the negative criteria, and I know I've been extensive and thorough, so I do appreciate everyone's time. With respect to the zoning ordinance and zoning plan, I believe we've iterated in the positive, but we're meeting the intent of not only the inclusionary zoning ordinance, but also the affordable housing ordinance. And while the affordable housing ordinance doesn't apply in this instance, I think we're doing one better here by transitioning the floor area to a partial 4th story and still providing the affordable unit. With respect to other impacts, the massing studies, the shadow studies that we've done all show a diminished impact from light and open space and air on the adjoining properties. And in my opinion, what's being proposed is an enhancement over what's permitted. Lastly, with respect to the master plan, as I mentioned, the Junction is a neighborhood that's nestled between Bergen, Lafayette, and Morris Canal. It's the Junction because it's the crossroads of 3 main intersection. There's a lot of access that's provided to this immediate neighborhood, but ultimately the master plan did look at this area with a small area vision, and I'll recite from that small area vision. Reestablish the Junction as a destination hub for surrounding communities through equitable revitalization of vacant, abandoned, and underutilized properties. So in planning to re-envision this neighborhood with a revitalization effort is to allow for an increase in density in an appropriate manner and create a critical mass of population that will support all the other elements of the existing neighborhood. For those reasons, I do believe that we're not impairing the master plan or zoning ordinance, but we're actually implementing it through a very tailored proposal to the board. I know I'm usually shorter, and I do thank everyone for their time, but that concludes my direct testimony. I just felt it was helpful to walk the board through some of the components we were looking at.
Thank you. And Charles, just a couple of follow-up questions. Well, really just one, I think. The way you've laid it out, right, and the way that Mr. Bodner presented, and you use the word tailored, I don't think there's a more appropriate word than tailored, right? The as of right alternative that would have the same unit count, it would be shorter, but it would be a larger mass adjacent to the lower density uses towards our west or to our left. is it fair to say that this application is basically a modified version of that conforming application in a manner that allows us to take more impactful mass and move it out of the impact zone?
Yes. Yeah, we're mitigating the impact of the zoning, that the floor area that's permitted in the zoning envelope.
So when planners use the term sometimes a better planning alternative, I know I've lived with this project now for 2 years, as has your team and the rest of the project team. Would this, to you, in your opinion as a planner, would this meet that definition of a better planning alternative than what is otherwise permitted for this property?
Yes, it's been redesigned. We've tried to understand and address the unique nature of these lots on the block and come up with a development plan that we believe addresses those concerns.
Okay, so then really lastly, but were the board not to act favorably upon our application and we were to proceed, the logical next step being to proceed to the planning board with the as of right alternative, would it be your opinion as a planner that that would actually result in more impact to the neighborhood in a way that this application is seeking to avoid?
It's the difference between a 0 side yard setback and 3 stories at the lot line. And this application has 10 feet of setback, and it immediately touches the permitted 3-story portion of this building. And then approximately 10 feet more beyond that is where the 4th story occurs.
So with all of that said, would it be your opinion that the benefits of this application would substantially outweigh any detriments?
I think we meet the bulk standard. I think we also meet the density and building height standard where it's consistent. It creates a transition, and it's the setbacks being proposed can be accommodated on the site.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I have nothing further for Mr. Height at this point, and that would conclude my presentation in chief. I would just respectfully request the right to address any comments from the board, from the public, and take a few-minute break at the conclusion.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we will ask if there are any comments from the public. Again, to the public, that your comments will be limited to 3 minutes. And I have asked Mr. Allen to please be the timekeeper at this time. Mr. Pangileone, is there anyone out there or anyone on this meeting to comment on tonight's presentation?
Yes, we have one, Michelle Meyer. I'm going to allow her to talk right now.
Okay.
Michelle, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Great. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Okay. I know.
Oh, wait, we have to swear Michelle in.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
I need to see you, Michelle.
How do I make you see me?
Or Vinny can swear you in.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Michelle, we need to,
Mr.
the court reporter needs to see you because we need to know that you are who you are. So can you put a video on?
I'm looking to see if my computer will let me. It just has an audio setting on the bottom left. Is there something that someone needs to do on your side?
No,
Well-
there should be a video icon to your bottom left of your window. Do you have a webcam connected?
I'm using a laptop that has a built-in camera. And on Zoom meetings, normally there is a video icon, but I do not have one right now.
Oh no.
Well, let's put it this way, Michelle. Do you swear or affirm that you are who you say you are and that the testimony you're about to give the court or this hearing will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank
Okay.
you. And if you could
Okay.
spell your full name and provide your address for the record.
Yes. It's Michelle with 2 L's. And the last name is actually Meyer, like Oscar Mayer Wiener, Mayer, not Mayer. And I'm at 363 Randolph. I'm across the street from this proposed development. So I know Irene or Mary Webb would like to speak as well. I don't know if she knows how to raise her hand, but hopefully she figures that out. But so I understand that the as of right versus the proposed, Right, the proposed is an attempt to be more ideal than what would be built as of right. I'm a little bit confused because I feel like conflicting things have been said about the permissible number of units. At 3 stories R1 zoning, it sounded like you guys for R1 zoning still needed a variance for having 13 units. But maybe adding the affordable housing unit removes that requirement. So I'm a little confused as to that point. So any clarification would be very helpful. But so the existing conditions currently, yes, there's a 1-story building that is built to the line at these people's backyards, but the rear yard is currently just under 28 feet, which is significantly more than 19.9, and it is significantly more than 17.4. So I'm not unappreciative of the fact that changes have been made to provide more light and air, but it will still be not as good as what they have today. And that, I think, is the material point from their side. You know, I get that there's a housing shortage. We just got 160 units plopped at the end of the block. So, you know, if the block needed more units, it most certainly got them. Or not 160, I'm sorry, about 44, 45, because it's 160 per acre. So I'm trying to understand that money needs to be made, that the city needs more units, that affordable housing is desired. But it is less desirable than what exists today for the people who live across the street.
1 minute remaining.
Oh, and if you think people are going to bike at the junction, I've been biking here since 2009. That's crazy. It is Communipaw is a scary, scary road, as is Grand, as is Garfield for a bicyclist. I bike with my daughter, who is 22 months old, every day, and I have to walk us to kind of the safer area past all of the junction with the bicycle, with the bike trailer, before I'm
30
ever
seconds.
gonna let her bike. But that's it. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate letting me speak.
Thank you. Joseph, is there anyone else in,
I believe I saw Mary raise her hand. Do you want to raise your hand again, Mary? Once you do, I'll allow you to talk. Because at the moment, I'm not seeing any other raised hands.
okay,
For the record, I did see Mary before.
Let's see.
So for any member of the public who's trying to express an interest in speaking,
I
there's a
raised my
raise-
hand. Am I
there's a raise
unmuted?
hand.
Yeah, Mary, you're on.
Yes.
Hold
My
on.
name is Mary Webb. I
Ms.
don't know if I need to be
Philipaglia?
sworn in.
Yes,
Hold
Mary,
on.
do you have a video, Mary?
I'm not sure how to bring it in. Let me see.
Do you have a video icon on the bottom left side of your window?
Okay. I don't see the video icon. I unmuted.
I see. There's a mute button, and then it should be right next to the mute button, right to the right
Okay.
of it.
Let me try again.
If it's not there, then you can you could also say that, and you could also.
Yeah. I just feel that we
Well,
have
Mary,
No.
Mary, let's
Mary.
start. Mary, let's start this way. What is your full name
Mary Webb,
and what is your address?
255 Pacific Avenue, and I have the property at 364 Randolph.
So, Mary, since we can't see you, do you swear or affirm you are Mary Webb and the testimony you're about to give us is the truth and nothing
Yes,
but the
it is.
truth? Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Could you spell your last name?
WEBB.
Thank you.
And first name Mary, Mary.
Okay,
Uh,
Mary,
I
what would you
feel a
like
little
to tell
bit
us?
lost here because when I received the certified letter and responded and came to the meeting, I left feeling with that the variance had been granted for a larger building than a 3-story building. And I was baffled by the fact that 2 one-family homes were being replaced with 13 or 14 units. But I was told because of what was built on Garfield, that was okay. But the bottom line for me is, as Michelle stated, this is a residential neighborhood, and I'm not denying anyone a chance to develop. But the fact that I was led to believe that this was not an R1. And when I looked it up today, it says that the property at 12, 14, and 16 Harmon Street is R1, which means that you can only build 3 stories. Am I incorrect?
Can someone answer her question?
Ms. Webb, my name is Matt De Silva. I'm the planner who reviewed this case. I'm happy to clarify that so the reason Mr. Wine and the applicant is here today is to ask for permission to build 4 stories instead of 3 stories. The default zoning allows for 3 stories, but Mr. Wine is asking for what we call a variance, which is, you know, an exception from the rules to build a 4-story building instead here. And his professionals were here to make the case to the board why that would be appropriate, and it's ultimately the board's discretion whether or not to grant those variances. So this hearing today is about whether or not Mr. Wine's client can be allowed to build 4 stories here or not.
Okay, so as I said, until this afternoon, I didn't know that was a part of it. I was led to believe that it was already agreed upon. But the density is incredulous, and the fact that it's even a question in this area is beyond me. I'm so appreciative of the time that Mr. Ben has taken to understand how I felt about having the backyard taken away literally is good. But the fact that it was not made clear that a variance was also needed to even build leaves me feeling some kind of way. And at the end of the day, you're taking a community, a residential community, and making it into a very multi-populated area. And it sounds good, that long discussion that I heard, and I agree with Michelle. I walk that area all the time, and I wouldn't bike there. I wouldn't bike there. And the buses, that's another thing. When you have to wait an hour for a bus, it's not the best service, but it is some service. But this whole process has left the people, regular everyday people like myself, out of it. And the fact that, and I did not even receive information to come to this meeting tonight. I got it by word of mouth. And I'm immediately next to that property. And I did show up for the meeting when it was pulled from the agenda and transferred over to June. But I can't see the fact that we need a property of that size. The fact that he wants to accommodate the sunshine, that's fine. But it's just not needed. I'm not knocking anyone from developing, but it's over. It's just too much with that huge building on the corner to put that right there in that backyard, and have to go in the backyard and move it back a little bit, shift it a little bit, but it's just too overwhelming.
Commissioner Allen, do you
And
know
then
how much time she has left?
I'm through.
I'm sorry, 20 seconds. I stopped it when
That's fine. I think my point has been well taken.
Right. And I thank you for putting that 20, whatever the time on when Matt was answering. Okay.
Yeah.
and that would be 5 seconds left.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that residents should be heard before.
And that's Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Pangileone, is there anybody else out there in the public?
Okay. I don't see any hands right now, but one last call. Anyone who'd like to comment on this matter? Going once, going twice. No more commenters, Madam Chair.
And I'll close out the public portion of this meeting, and I will ask the commissioners, do they have comments or questions for anyone who presented this evening so far?
And Madam Chair, I'm sorry to interrupt. Would you like us to address there were a couple of things I wrote down. Did you want us to address those or hear comments from the board?
Let's have comments from the commissioners. They might address some of what you may have written down.
Sure.
Okay, does anyone want, I have a couple of questions. Anybody else have some questions we'd like to start? Okay.
I'll let you go first.
Okay, So, I heard what you had to say about the parking. You went from 11 parking spaces to no parking spaces. And you talked about how all of this will impact positively on the neighborhood and the yard and the this and the that. But I guess I'd like to ask, what is the impact of no parking spaces for any of the residents? I heard the comments about the bicycle lane. I'm very familiar with that neighborhood, about the bikes and the buses. So what impact will it have on the neighborhood without any parking spaces available for the people who move in?
Charles, I'll let you address that.
Yeah. So I understand that a young child should be chaperoned and traveling along some of these roads.
I'm just asking, what is the impact of no parking spaces? Have you done any study about that? What that will have on the neighborhood?
Okay, so the vision for this is to incorporate bicycle parking within the building, and we'll have sufficient bicycle parking in storage areas and in the lobby, and then additional bikes can be stored in the units. There is on-street parking within the greater neighborhood, but very likely the future tenants will be low automobile ownership tenants. They won't have each unit likely would not have 2 cars per unit. It'd be probably less than 1 car per unit. So we didn't do any specific study. We didn't. Sometimes we will try to review census data, but for this size of development, we hadn't done that. If that answers your question, there is available on-street parking, and again, there's other alternative modes of transportation in the neighborhood.
So it's only on speculation that most people in that building will neither have a car, or many people will not have a car, or only be limited to have 1 car. Okay.
Chair Coyle, I just want to intervene for a second and make sure that all the board is equipped with all the correct facts on hand. So Chapter 187 of our code, our inclusionary zoning ordinance, states that all projects subject to an affordable set aside due to the inclusionary zoning ordinance are not subject to parking requirements.
I heard that.
So yeah, just to clarify, so there's no parking variance asked here.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just asking what the impact would be. That's all.
And we previously proposed 11 spaces, but only 5 are required by the new parking requirement standard. So the idea of 5 dedicated off-street spaces where we can accommodate what the proposed building mass is with no curb cut, we felt the better design alternative would be to remove the parking component for the project, create more of a separation. Obviously, any drive aisle and parking spaces on a ground level would require a greater footprint. So that was part of the trade-off.
Okay. Mr. Allen, Commissioner Allen, do you have a question?
Yes, I have 2. The first question is for you, Mr. Wine. I just want to make sure I heard you clear. Did you say in the beginning that the community liked the second, this current design better than the first design?
So sure.
I just want to make sure, that's all.
Yeah, so what happened was 2 years ago, we were directed by city planning to reach out to the Sherwood Claremont Neighborhood Association, and that's Chris Perez's neighborhood association. That was back when this was a full 5-story proposal. We met with that association. It became clear later on that none of them necessarily live right around here, as evidenced by the fact that the 2 people you did hear from today were not actually included in that conversation, and all the people that were included in that conversation, there were about 25 of them on the call. Not one of them is here tonight, and that was something that was an oversight, through city planning directing us to meet with them. But when we did, we went full gung-ho and filed that application because they said, oh, great, this looks like, yep, we see it continues the 5 stories on the corner. You have parking. This looks fine. And we filed with the board. So that's what everybody saw, and that's what we filed. You fast forward to 2 years later, to March of this year, when we came to the board with that application fully prepared to present. And that's when we met Ms. Meyer, Ms. Washington, and Ms. Webb at that meeting. And they said, you held a neighborhood meeting? And we said, yes, almost 2 years ago. And they said, we never knew about it. In fact, I believe, and I don't want to put words in Ms. Meyer's mouth, but I believe she told me she actually tried to reach out to Mr. Perez after the fact and say, why didn't you include us? And never got a response to that effect. So once we met with them and realized that there were issues with the massing at a 5-story full lot coverage development, that's when we pivoted to this. So what I think, so to say they liked it better, it's a fully different project. What you saw then was 5 stories, no setbacks, no full coverage, full floor of parking. What you see now is a fully redesigned project that was tailored directly towards those houses on Randolph that were never included in that meeting. So I don't know if that answers your question. Yeah, I know your question was, do they like it better? It's a different project that's much more responsive to the actual impact and concerns of the immediate neighbors.
Oh, okay. So it sounded like it was the wrong community group that liked the project.
So it turns out they are the community group that is in this area. Technically, I don't think city planning got it wrong. I think that they should have just reached out. Like when I've worked with community groups in the past, that part of that includes banging on the neighbors' doors and saying, "Hey, we're holding a community meeting." And it sounds like that was never done by this community group. I don't know why.
Okay. And the second question, I don't know who would answer this. The tree in the front and it looks like a tree in the back in the aerial view. What will happen to those 2 trees?
Russ, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, we can. I could probably keep them depending on what the location is.
Hold on, I'm going up that. Sorry, Commissioner, I'm trying to see which trees you're talking about. There is a tree on the front, like the street tree right now, Commissioner.
Yes, and then in one of the area views, it's like a tree in the back. I don't know if it's on the Harmon property or that property, but it's a tree.
Well, I can speak to the one in the front. I don't believe I'm not sure if that's a compliant street tree presently. We're replacing that one with 2 new street trees that meet the forestry standards.
Okay.
As to the back, Russ, do you have any idea on that one? I don't see it on the survey.
Right now it's not on the survey, but if it's outside the property, outside our building envelope, we can easily keep it. It's just not shown on my site plan, on my survey. Like the original survey has some stuff missing and debris on the original survey, which means it could be back in that corner. And if it's back in that corner, yeah, we could easily keep that tree because now it's outside our building envelope for sure. You know, before we were 100% lot coverage, now we're not even anywhere near that.
Okay.
17 feet, 6 inches in the back. Do we have an overview? Let me take a quick look.
Yeah, I'm looking, Commissioner, on Google. I see the tree you're talking about. I can't tell if it's on our property or not. If it's not, obviously we're not touching it. If it is, it sounds like we can save it. There's no reason to take it down.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we did.
Okay, do other commissioners have a question? Okay, I have another question. Can we bring up one of the shots that we had of the neighborhood and take a look at what the existing buildings look like on the block?
Charles, do you want to bring that up?
Yes. Give me a moment. I believe that was the zoning exhibit. Just give me 1 second.
I'm asking because even though the design might be visually pleasing to everyone, any of the training I participated in, they've always talked about granting a variance if the building was replicating or coming close to what the other buildings in the neighborhood look like. And this building doesn't, even the colors that have been selected, et cetera, the size of the windows, et cetera, although visually pleasing in design, I have always been trained to say that we have to work as hard as we can to have that building fit in better into a neighborhood resembling color, structure, et cetera. So I'm just looking to see what the other buildings look like in a surrounding neighborhood.
So Russ, that may be better for you to answer from the aesthetic perspective. I think it's a very good question.
Yeah.
So how did you come, and I know we glossed over it a little bit, but how did you come up with the building design? architecture.
I kind of took some modern feel and as well as a little bit of like, it's still a lot of red brick we're using on the building in the front. So we're using red brick, using some siding as well on the upper
I'd like
section.
to see the other buildings and surrounding it, because I'm not sure I saw that in the other buildings.
Yeah, there's some red.
Charles, if you want to bring, yeah, if you
I
want to
have
bring
it.
up your exhibit, I think that showed it.
I'm sorry, I think that let me turn my video off. My computer's just taking a minute to load. Okay, I'm sharing now. I think this was some of the images that we had. This is at the corner. Gray brick, metal paneling.
Well, there's houses on Harmon Street with the white brick color buildings and gray and lighter shades.
You can go to a different
There
color.
you
That's
can
not a problem.
see, yeah.
You have the so it might be helpful to view it this way. So we just looked at the gray brick, which is here to the
I
east.
see that one, but I'm
Yep.
looking for the homes in that neighborhood that have not been altered yet or touched or anything
So
like
this is an angle of the driveway here. So you have the 3-story townhouses, condos. That's red brick. That's these along Communipaw and onto Randolph. And I think we have a shot of these lighter brick. They have gray, white, and red in the area in terms of the brick color.
Okay, so in no way is this building replicating what is currently in that neighborhood. Okay, I just wanted to.
Yeah, I mean,
And
go ahead, Charles.
I think Russ can bring up an image, but this isn't in a historic district, so I do know consistency with facades is important. And what I would say is that I think part of this design is trying to transition between what is a modern structure that was approved and is its own architecture into what is somewhat similar but different and still incorporating brick. So I think there's not a requirement to match any one specific type of architecture, given that we're not in a historic district or it's not a historic preservation type of project.
I guess though the question I would ask Russ, because I think the chair does, whether Chair Coyle, whether you're referencing it specifically or not, the R1 does have design standards, right? And I think part of that does, talk about some of the things you've alluded to. Obviously this was our shot at that, but I guess Russ, the question I would have for you coming from the chair is there any way, like right beside us is all light brick. Is there any way you can change the motif to mirror that light brick if that's the board's desire?
Yeah, we can easily change it to a lighter brick. Right now it's a red brick. We can go to a lighter shade of like more of a beige brick. We can also change, right now the bays themselves were like more of a cladding in like more of a metal cladding. We can go to more of a kind of a cement board panels cladding with like different colors in terms of on the cement board cladding. We can dress it up a little bit more historic looking as well as, to make it, a little bit more of a classic feel.
Okay.
That's not a problem. And we already have siding on the top layers. As you can see, I guess I can't share the screen again, but I have this other rendering here in front of me.
Yeah, Russ, you can bring it up.
Here, let me share this. Here's the original rendering on the front sheet.
And this does not, for the record, Bridget, this does not need to be an exhibit. This was just part of it.
This was already on the original rendering. But as you see here, like, I'm trying to make this smaller, guys. Sorry. Here, let me just make this. Smaller, you could probably see it better. As you can see here, we were doing the red brick and some siding, like a beige siding up here, and some light, like bronze looking colored bays. We can change that to other materials and other colors.
Okay.
In terms of that, we had some light siding on the side, like a beige side, more like a khaki siding on the left on the sides. What we can do is we can change this brick color to later a beige color. We can also change this metal panels, like instead of that, we can do more of a cement board panel, make it look a little bit more historic with more trim on the cement board on these cement board panels and all the panels in between, and change out the colors to like a browns, if you like, and a brown, because right now there's like on the cornice of the other building just adjacent to us has like more of a brown cornice, so we can go with more beige and browns. So we can match that color up here on the top and on the building itself. Now contextualize it a lot better.
Okay. Do any other commissioners have any questions?
I just have a comment. There was a photo that you showed us that seems like the metal portion of that was like darker. This seems to be a little better, the color. It looks a little more lighter.
Correct. This is the original rendering. The other one
was darker, right?
Yes, was darker.
Yeah, I
yes,
didn't like
because
that
that's
one.
not the finished rend. Like I asked her to change something today for me just to show the building itself without anything else around it.
Yeah. The darker one I really didn't like, but this one looks a little more amenable. But like you said, if you can change it and make it a little more in tune with the rest of the houses in the block, that would be a lot better. Thank you.
Okay. There are no other comments from the commissioners. I'd like to hear from the staff at this time.
Certainly. Thank you, Chair Coyle. Staff prepared. There was an original report dated March 3rd, 2026, but then there was a reissue on June 3rd, 2026, reflecting the redesigns that Mr. Wine's client made in response to that community feedback, and clarifying the changes in details. That being said, the general sort of analysis of the report stays intact. This is sort of a transition area. As Mr. Height said, there you have a 5-story structure on one side of the site and 2-story townhomes on the other. This project is trying to bridge that gap in mass, and it is arguably particularly suitable to be that sort of bridge in that transition. As was mentioned, so this is an inclusionary zoning ordinance project. The applicant is asking for more density than would be allowed, as well as more height than would be allowed, which triggers that 10% affordable housing requirement. They are below the 15 units that would normally be the trigger for such a request, but the applicant has agreed to voluntarily comply anyway. I think has been mentioned that the extra, sort of the development potential for this site, you sort of have a choice here between, as Mr. Wine described, what the zoning with the affordable housing overlay would encourage, which would be a 3-story structure, but with higher lot coverage and fewer side yards. So sort of like a squatter, wider box versus this taller, slimmer structure with more space between itself and the townhomes that Mr. Wine is proposing. So just in terms of sort of practical outcomes, that's worthwhile for the board to keep in mind here. It is staff opinion that Mr. Height's testimony adequately, met the findings that municipal land use law expects for justification for both D5 density variances and D6 height variances. The C variances would be subsumed under these D variances here. And so just to remind the board, the special reasons for a density variance is that the purposes of the zoning are advanced and that the density is particularly suited to the property. And that the special reasons for a D6 height variance is that the purpose of a height restriction is to limit intensity. So that you generally have, are addressing concerns about light, air, open space, and promoting a desirable visual environment. With that being said, I think Chair Coyle's comments are in good about the potential for maybe redesigns of the facade to better embody the spirit of the R1 design standards might be appropriate here. And it might be good advice, and I guess this is staff advice, that maybe that the applicant, in addition to complying with the conditions, should the board approve this application and the conditions in that memo, that perhaps before the board takes a vote, the applicant would maybe like to revisit the facade design potentially.
Okay. Are there any other comments since after Matt's comments or questions that the commissioners might have or would like to make? Okay, before I take a vote, Mr. Wine, you said that you wanted to have a few minutes to speak.
Yes, if I could just take a minute and give my client a quick call, that would be greatly appreciated.
I would like a break.
Okay, let's take a break and come back at 8 o'clock. That's about a 5, 10, 12-minute break. Is that enough for you, Bridget?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
So 8 o'clock. Okay, are we all back? Everyone is back? Okay, let's resume. And I believe we left off with Mr. Wine trying to call his clients, and I was asking if there was any additional comments from the commissioners or any questions.
So I can speak to the first, not the second. If you have additional comments, that's on you. But I did speak to my clients. We would respectfully request the right to adjourn. Obviously, we do only have, I think, 5 eligible members to vote. But in addition, I think between you and the vice chair, there was obviously a number of comments about the aesthetic look and feel. And I think that's something I spoke to my client, I spoke to the architect, something we can definitely make a better shot at addressing ahead of the next meeting, and we'd like the opportunity to do so.
Okay, so you're asking us not to hold a vote tonight on this?
That is correct. And obviously with that in mind, if there were any, kind of final thoughts, if we're going to go back and make those changes, I'd be happy to hear them from the board as well.
Okay, obviously, does the board have any other comments? It doesn't seem to be. Okay, so we're not voting, so Vincent, Mr. LaPaglia, we just move on to our next case. We just
Just
Hold on
for
a second.
clarification,
Why don't we give a date certain so we have the notice, we don't have to renotice? What is the next date?
the next date is July 9th.
On July 9th.
Okay, so the audience knows that this case is going to be continued on July 9th. There's no notice other than this right now. So we'll see everybody back on July 9th for this case.
Okay.
Great. Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes.
Have a good night.
Good night. Yes.
Okay, so I have been told that for 188 Newark Avenue, that we do have representation, that we can hear that case right at this moment. Is this true?
Yes, there she is.
Yes, I've promoted their attorney. I believe their sign professional. Let's see. Veronica, is there anyone else I should be promoting with your team?
Yes, there should be Kurt Stender is our signage and Paul Ricci is our professional planner.
Great, I'm doing that right now.
Thank you, Joseph.
Okay, Kurt, I've promoted you. Is there a prompt asking you to accept the promotion? Let me see. Okay, Kurt, there you go. I believe, there you go. That should be your team.
Okay. So we can proceed if you'd like to begin, Veronica.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners, Council. Veronica Schmiel from the law firm Connell Foley on behalf of the applicant this evening, Mr. Nicholas Gualteros. I just want to start by quickly saying I understand our application was called earlier. I want to sincerely apologize. I advised our team to log on later than I should have. So I just want to extend my sincerest gratitude to the board for accommodating us despite that error, and our planner, Joseph, for giving me the heads up. I won't delay things further than I already have, so I will keep my introductory comments very brief. We do have a very straightforward application for you this evening. We did provide notice for our application. The proof was filed on the Tyler portal ahead of tonight's meeting. This is a notice case because we're requesting a C variance for some proposed signage for the property located at 188 Newark Avenue. So the applicant has his own tattoo studio. He's going to be operating it on the upper floors of the existing building on the property there. So our application tonight is to request approval for 2 identification signs for his business. The first sign is going to be located on the ground floor. It'll be above the entrance to the upper floors and it'll read tattoo. The second is going to be affixed to the building itself, and it's going to display the applicant's business name and logo, which is High Rise Inc. This latter sign is the one for which we are going to be requesting the variance this evening.
Okay.
The property is located right at the end of the Newark Avenue pedestrian plaza, and we're within the bounds of the NC1 zone. There is an existing restaurant on the ground floor of the property, Saigon Cafe. That's going to remain. It's not related to our application this evening, but it will still be at the property. Like I mentioned, I do have two witnesses for you this evening, Mr. Kurt Stender of Stender Brothers Sign Co. He's our sign designer and fabricator. And then Mr. Paul Ricci of Ricci Planning is our professional planner. So with that, I will call Mr. Stender as my first witness, and I will share my screen to show Mr. Stender's rendering plans, which are not a new exhibit. They are part of our application file.
Mr. Paglia, are we marking A1? Are we marking any notices or no?
I would assume we should be marking this as A2 with the notices being A1.
A1. These renderings are already on the Tyler portal. They were part of our application, so I thought maybe we didn't need to mark them as an exhibit.
I was talking about the notices.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, the notices are already around the portal, so that's A1. And this you want to make A2, Bridget? Even though it's on the portal as well?
If they're on the portal, then we don't. Right.
Okay. They're on the portal.
So, yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I breezed right past the notice marking. I apologize for that.
Okay. All right. So notices will be A1.
Mm-hmm.
And if this is on it, it's already on the portal. Okay.
So my first witness is Mr. Kurt Stender. I do see him visible. Kurt, if you could unmute and you'll be sworn in as our witness. And if you could also tell the board a little bit about your background in sign design and fabrication after you're sworn in.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, would you raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Keep your voice up and please state and spell your full name.
Kurt Stender, Kurtstender.
Yeah, that's not going to work. Okay.
Sorry, Kurt, you're getting some feedback from your mic. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I'm not sure how to fix that. Doing it while I was listening to the other.
I know I can't understand what you're saying. It's too much reverberation and echoing.
Is that any better?
It's still there.
There's a bit of a reverb still.
I have no idea how to correct that.
I could alternatively start with my professional planner. Maybe to
Why
give
don't we
Kurt.
do that while he's trying to correct his end?
Okay, Kurt, I will turn to Mr. Ricci first. Maybe if you're able to fiddle with your microphone settings and see.
Right, you might have to lower your mic volume or your audio output. That does sound bad. Could you say again?
Yeah, is that working?
No.
I'm still hearing some.
Okay, should we move on to Mr. Ricci so that we can?
I will start there. Okay, I will keep that open though. Okay, so Mr. Ricci, I know you have appeared before this board
Okay,
before, but
1 minute. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And if you could state and spell your full name.
Paul Ricci, Ricci.
Thank you.
And Mr. Ricci has appeared before this board, and we recognize his expertise. Thank you.
Thank you. If I may, I'll just jump into it. I do have an exhibit, so maybe we can show this exhibit real quickly, and then maybe we can. I'll switch to my exhibit. Let me see if I can get my exhibit up here. Can everyone see the exhibit?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, since I'm kind of starting out here, we know we are located at 188 Newark Avenue. this area of Newark Avenue is a pedestrian-only street. So what this exhibit is intended to show, it shows the subject property in picture one. The pictures were taken by me, and it shows just pictures of signs in the surrounding area, just so the board can get a feel for the size of signs, the context in which the proposed application is taking place. Picture number one is the picture of the subject property. You can see the Saigon Cafe sign. That sign's approximately 22 square feet. Just to the left of the subject property, there's the Garden Green sign. That's more of a bubble style awning. That sign is approximately 32 square feet. And just so the board's aware, these aren't exact measurements. What I do is I measure an article, such as the door frame. I set the picture to scale, and then I approximate the image. So they're very close, but it's not exact. And then,
Excuse me.
is there a question or?
No.
Okay. And then across the street, I show Nora's Hair Design. That sign's about 21 square feet. Taco Drive, about 25.8 square feet. And then the signing starts to get larger across the street, which is in your redevelopment area. That's the Newark downtown area, Newark Avenue downtown redevelopment plan area. The Gypsy Grill sign here is about 42 square feet. And then the Shanway Asian restaurant sign, that's about 73 square feet. So significantly larger than the permissible 20 square foot sign on the ground floor. Again, the variance that we're requesting is the applicant is seeking an 18.5 square foot sign on the upper portion of the floor, where 10 square feet is permissible. I note that from a planning perspective, site signage is important for business identification, customer recognition, and commercial success, particularly along a pedestrian-only area. Although the property fronts on a pedestrian street, when I was out there in the field, I recognized that from the Newark Avenue, Jersey Avenue intersection, from which the sign is visible when you're at a stop location, about 115 feet away, it does provide an attractive element, for a business owner, for that sign to be visible from the actual auto-oriented area just nearby. For this reason alone, I believe it's reasonable to allow for a modest increase in that 10 square foot upper story limit. I believe that will improve identification of the site and wayfinding towards the site for people looking for that business. I also reviewed the staff comments. The applicant revised this signage to be consistent with staff comments. It remains non-illuminated and is organized within the facade composition as recommended by staff, so as to enhance visibility without creating glare, excessive bulk, or visual clutter. It was also my finding that the proposed signage is consistent with the surrounding downtown signage context, where I've shown that signs range from approximately 21 to 73 square feet. So when you include the Saigon Cafe sign on the ground floor of approximately 22 square feet and the 18.5 square foot high-rise ink sign, that's approximately 40.5 square feet, which in its totality is consistent with the signage that you find in the area. I found as a planner also that it's helpful that this signage is tasteful and exudes a positive visual environment in this pedestrian-oriented area. I did look at your master plan. I'll be brief. We advanced several objectives of the master plan: strengthening the Newark Avenue corridor as an active commercial destination, corridor activation, promoting wayfinding and visibility without creating clutter, and maintaining a desirable visual environment and good civic design. That's visual quality compatibility with urban design principles. For these reasons, we advanced several purposes in this land use law. By promoting business identification and wayfinding in a busy downtown pedestrian setting, while maintaining a desirable visual environment through modest, non-illuminated facade integrated signage consistent with purpose A, H, and I of the municipal land use law: promotion of the general welfare, promotion of a free flow of traffic, and promotion of a desirable visual environment. In terms of the negative criteria, I believe that the relief can be granted without a substantial detriment to the public good because the signage remains modest in overall scale, is not illuminated, and integrated into the facade, with the upper story sign located within the upper floor architectural band. The increase above the 10 square foot upper story standard is justified by the property's visibility from Newark Avenue, Jersey Avenue intersection. And again, the site signage remains generally consistent with surrounding signage patterns. Accordingly, the proposal will not result in a substantial detriment to the character of the area. It does not substantially impact the intent and purpose of the zone plan or sign regulations. In summary, for all these reasons, the proposal satisfies the negative criteria and may be approved without substantial detriment to the public good, the neighborhood character, and the purpose intent of the zone plan and sign regulations. So that is my limited direct testimony for this evening.
Okay. Did you have did I see that you put up an image of the building with the sign on it?
I did. Would you like me to bring that back up?
I just want to see that before we move on.
My exhibit with the 4 pictures or the exhibit that
The rendering.
signage professional prepared?
Sign on it.
The sign rendering.
Okay, the applicant, our attorney will have to bring that back up.
Yes, I will pull that up right now. Thank you. Okay. So these are the 2 proposed signs for the building.
Okay.
So,
Okay. All right. Do you have we'll hold our questions until your next person presents, if he got the sound correct.
Sure. I did also try to instruct him to call in from his cell phone while keeping his video on. So maybe he could provide testimony that way.
I see. I see a phone number. I think it might be you.
Okay. Thank you, Joseph.
Okay, Kurt, you could try your phone. You have to unmute. It's still muted.
If you're on a phone, you press *6 to unmute.
Can you hear it through the computer?
Yeah, we could hear you, but the computer has still has that audio reverb.
Is there any way the host of the meeting can unmute him by the settings on his?
No, I can only allow him to. I can only allow him to speak the phone for the phone number entry or the phone number attendant to speak or disallow him to speak. There's no controlling about mute. If he wants to mute, he could press *6. Kurt.
Is that working?
Hello? Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes. Okay. Thank you all very much for your patience there and with our technical difficulties. So, Mr. Stender, now that we have you with us, I guess you do need to be sworn in still, now that we can hear you.
Okay.
Am I correct?
Yes.
Is Bridget there to swear?
I'm
Bridget
here.
wants-
I thought I
Okay.
swore him in, but maybe I didn't. Hold on. Yeah, I swore him in already.
Okay.
Okay, so Mr. Stender, just for the benefit of the board, could you give a little bit of background on your experience as a sign designer and a fabricator and what qualifies you to provide testimony on this application tonight?
Well, I've been doing signs for 20 years, and I have a lot of respect for the architecture in Jersey City. I've worked on a couple of buildings down there, and when I designed this, it was to fit the building more so than be, to fit inside that 10 square foot space. It looks kind of comically small when you make it that size. So I just designed it around the building as opposed to the rules.
Understood. So, okay, so you've designed signs, they've been put up in Jersey City before. So you have significant sign design and fabrication and installation experience, correct?
Yes.
Sure. Okay. Could you just walk the board through the two separate signs and the materials that you're going to use for each of them?
So the upper sign will be a dimensional sign made out of high density urethane, which is super lightweight. It's about 1.5 inches thick, I think, is what we decided to go with on this one. And it'll have 1/2-inch standoffs. They're threaded rod that's anchored directly to the building. And when I apply it to the building, I take the time to go into the mortar joints as opposed to going into the brick itself, because that does take the life away from the brick by drilling directly into it. So I take the time for that. It's siliconed in and it's up there. It'll be there long after we are if we don't take it down.
And how about the ground floor tattoo sign?
That's going to be painted directly on, I believe that's a security door, roll-up door, and that's just painted directly on to the face of that.
Okay, that is pretty much, I believe, Kurt, unless you have anything else that you'd like to add for the board about the signs, their design and their installation.
No, I just I look forward to working on it. It's I think it's a solid design for that building. It's a really nice building, so I hope I get to do it.
And as you may be able to see earlier at the top as well, we do have the total square footage of each of the signs. So the High Rise Inc. logo sign is going to be 18.5 square feet. And then the tattoo entrance sign will be 4.25 square feet. So that testimony of Mr. Stender along with Mr. Ricci is our presentation this evening on this application.
Okay. So that ends your do you have anyone else to testify tonight, or that's it? That
is all. Thank you.
Okay, then are there any individuals out there, Mr. Pangiloni, that might be wanting to comment? Do you see anyone out there?
I do not see any raised hands, but I will ask for one last call. If anyone wants to comment on this matter, please raise your hand. I'll call you to speak. Okay, going once, going twice. So okay, there's no one.
Okay, then I will close out the public portion of this meeting. Commissioners, do you have any comments or questions that you would like to ask or state?
No, I have none.
Okay. Can we hear from the staff?
Certainly. So staff has been working with the applicant on this variance, and it's gone through multiple rounds of review, and there have been various iterations of the sign. We've worked hard to get the sign down to a scale that's appropriate for the building relative to the size of an area of the other signs on the building. What we believe is in front of you today is the result of that, and it appears to kind of blend well with the rest of the signs in the building. It's appropriate in scale and design, and we do believe that granting this variance for which is to clarify an increase in sign area. So the allowable sign area for signs second, third, or fourth or fifth floor is 10 square feet. This one is about 18. And as you can see, it's still appropriate in scale relative to the size of the building and other signs. So we don't see a detriment to public health and safety or the zoning plan or ordinance. So given that, I would just like to clarify with the applicant whether they have gotten a chance to review the staff memo dated May 22nd, 2026.
Yes.
And if they would agree to the conditions listed on the staff memo.
Yes, we are in receipt and we do agree to those conditions. Thank you.
All right. Given that, staff recommends approval.
Okay, again, I ask the commissioners, do you have any comments or questions? Okay, then I am asking for a motion to vote on KZ 2025-0057 with conditions. Can I get a motion?
Excuse me, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve case 2025-0057 as presented to the board this evening.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay,
Okay.
let's take a vote.
Yes, Commissioner Allen,
Yes.
Commissioner Patel,
Yes.
Commissioner D'Angelo,
Yes.
Commissioner Shadid,
Is Commissioner Shahid on?
yeah, he's on mute. Commissioner Shadid, you're muted right now.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Arujo
Yes.
and Chair Coyle.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much for your time this evening. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, at this time, I know that we have 3 resolutions that we need to memorialize. So, Mr. LaPaglia, do you want to take care of that?
Yes. Can we take down this picture? At least the picture is on my screen.
Sure, we could stop the participant share. Okay, there we
There
go.
Okay, great. So the first resolution to memorialize this application was heard on April 9th.
Kurt Stender is still on. Do we need to keep him on?
I can
Okay.
unjoin them from the panelists.
Sorry, Vinny.
It's okay. So the first case was Z 2026-0004. That was an appeal from a denial of a prior approval for a demolition permit. The appellant was Joseph Barado. The location was 32 Sherman Place. And there was a motion to deny that appeal. That motion passed. Present that evening were Chair Coyle, Commissioners Allen, Shadid, Patel, Burns, Coviello, and D'Angelo. And that passed 6 in favor, 1 opposed. The 1 opposed was Commissioner Patel. So all in favor of memorializing that?
Aye.
And the second and third cases were heard on May 7th. Present on May 7th were Chairperson Coyle, Vice Chair Arroyo, Commissioners Burns, Shadid, Zablicki, Coviello, and D'Angelo. The first case is Z 2025-0074. That was an approval of an amendment to a previously approved preliminary and final major site plan approval with variances and conditions and an interim use. The address was 1072-1075 West Side Avenue. That passed 7 in favor, none opposed. All in favor of memorializing that?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And the next case and last case is Z 26-0015. That was also on May 7th, the same 7 commissioners as before. This case was an appeal of an administrative officer's determination. The appellant was David Chesnut. That's CZEHUT. And the address is 615 Jersey Avenue. So that was also known as the Hive, if we remember that. In any event, there was a motion to deny that appeal, and that motion was approved. 6 in favor, none opposed, and 1 abstained. And the abstention was Vice Chair Arroyo. But other than that, the other 6 commissioners voted to deny this appeal. All in favor of memorializing that?
Aye.
So, with that said, there's nothing else as far as resolutions.
Okay, then if there's nothing else, then I make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Can I get a second motion?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good
Have a
night,
good weekend.
everyone.
Uh,
Everybody.
Bye.
Bye,
bye-bye.
everyone. Thank you.